All right, let the West Coast Masshole recording for, what is it, the 18th of May, 2020?
That might be true.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Okay.
So we were going to do
episode 3. I know it's the third time we've done this.
Yeah.
We've successfully made it to episode 3. The network hasn't canceled us yet.
Yeah, and they moved another show from Monday to Saturdays. They moved the Blursh's Raspberry Reviews moved to Saturdays, and you know what that means?
Oh, no.
Probably not going to last long. That's how it works.
Saturday's the way your show goes to die.
Yeah, that's where it goes.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great show. But we're introducing the concept of segments this time, right?
That's right. So what's segment 1?
Let's see what I got here. Segment 1. Oh yeah, first thing we're gonna do is critique Boston accents from film and television. So specifically, I watched this movie the other night. I don't know if you remember this movie from the 90s, starring Jeff Bridges and Tommy Lee Jones, called Blown Away. Do you remember that?
No, is it supposedly in Boston?
Yeah, it was all set in Boston. Jeff Bridges is secretly used to be in the IRA in Ireland with crazy bomber Tommy Lee Jones, but then he got out of that life. He moved to Boston and he became a bomb expert, diffusing bombs.
So did he have an Irish accent?
Well, that was one of the things that I always wondered about this movie, because in this movie, the Boston accents, I would say, and the Irish accents, to be quite frank, are almost uniformly distracting.
Okay.
Jeff Bridges is he's one of my favorite actors for sure. And he's a great actor, and he's always good, and he's emotionally great. But his accent is distracting, and it's like, because sometimes he does sound like Jeff Bridges in the movie, just like the regular. And I'm talking, this is 90s Jeff Bridges, before he became True Grit Jeff Bridges, where he it doesn't make, you can't understand him at all, because for some reason he's like from Texas now, even though he was born and raised in Southern California. I don't understand that part. But in Blown Away, he was just like regular sounding Jeff Bridges, the one that you got in Starman or Tron,
sure,
or those kind of movies, except like every 2 or 3 scenes, he'll suddenly have the Boston accent where they drop the R's and all that stuff. But it's sort of nondescript. I mean, correct me or disagree with me if you want, but the thing that bugs me about Boston accents is there's always so often like people choose to do, like a Kennedy accent. And that's never made sense to me, because
no. Yeah,
nobody talks like that except
that's
Kennedy.
micro. That's like micro specific. There's maybe a handful of people on the planet that even have that accent, and and it be authentic. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Massachusetts, obviously, even within Boston, the city itself, there's different accents depending on what part of the city you're in. So when people do a generalized Massachusetts accent, they drop the R's. It's the Park the Car and Harvard Yard thing. And so Jeff Bridges in this movie sometimes just sounds like Jeff Bridges, like me, accentless. And then all of a sudden he's parking the car in Harvard Yard. But I don't know if that's because he was originally Irish, really truly Irish, and he's just faking it. But then you'd think you'd hear more of his Irish accent leaking through as opposed to just regular Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Irish accent is, and people from Ireland don't just drop it, unless, of course, he's trying to be undercover for whatever reason. And they didn't hang a lantern on that, did they? And if you're from Ireland, you have quite the use of the R. It's actually pronounced.
What's that?
So to go from using it to completely, in Ireland, in the Irish accent, the R is quite prominently pronounced, right? So to think you would go from a prominently pronounced dialect to not having it just because you move there, I don't buy it.
Yeah, it's very yeah.
Mhm.
And regardless of, I mean, like you can justify it after the fact, after the movie. You can go, well, I mean, he was really from Ireland and pretending to be something he's not, blah blah blah. But like you don't really put that together till later in the movie. So for a lot of the
Mm.
movie, it's just weird and distracting. I mean, I
Okay.
think in general, like people, like you look at a movie like the Perfect Storm, and which is a great example of like good and bad Boston accents
Mhm.
within the
Yeah.
cast. I mean,
Mhm.
I honestly think that John Hawkes and Rusty Schwimmer in that movie have two of the most, you know, genuine sounding Gloucester accents in that movie. Whereas, you know, I don't know what Michael
Yeah.
Ironside's doing. He
Mhm.
sounds like a Canadian trying to do a Boston accent, and then George Clooney doesn't bother. So you have it all over. And then Marky Mark is
Mm.
supposed to be from Gloucester, but he sounds like he's from Southie. It's weird. I don't know. I don't get that. Um, so that's,
Yeah.
but Blown Away is just, it's just, it's just a bunch. It seems like a bunch of actors who didn't really work very hard on putting their accent together. Now I know that you can't do that.
Dialect.
Yeah, it's like you get a movie and then you're shooting within, you know, let's say a week, you know, booking the job or whatever. It's hard to throw together a super authentic accent in that amount of time, but it doesn't seem like anyone in Blown Away really tried at all.
We should find out how many actual Boston actors were in the film.
That's a
And see what, and then go back and find out what their accents were like,
right.
if they had any at all.
I mean,
You know.
you do good accents and you do good Boston accents. I don't even like when people want me to be from Boston. I just show up. I don't do an accent. Like, yeah, I'm actually from outside of Boston, and this is exactly how I always sounded. So, I mean,
Mm.
unless you're going to be more specific about the region of Massachusetts that the character is coming from, you know, as opposed to
Mhm.
just Boston, then I'll just talk like this.
Yeah, I mean, my friend grew up in Brookline, and a couple words here or there, but he grew up in a nice neighborhood up on Pill Hill there, and no accent. They didn't really have any accent, and it's right next to Mission Hill, which everybody has an accent. So I
Right.
guess a little bit of it is socioeconomic, you know.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely regional. I don't know if it's yeah, I don't know if how
Uh,
socioeconomic it is, but I mean, I guess my town was pretty wealthy, so maybe wealthy people don't have the
mm-hmm.
accent as much. I don't know. My mom had a
They
little one. She was from a place called Ware. Uh, what?
where?
Yeah, Ware.
Where?
Ware. Next to
Where?
next to Palmer.
Yeah, I know where.
Where?
Where? Where?
Uh,
Hey, Captain Albert Costello. Hey, hey. I know where you are. Who's on first?
Oh crap. We got two more segments to get through. We're running out of time. All right, the next here, look, pick a movie
All
for
right,
next
let's
time.
go.
Watch a movie with Boston accents and you break it down because I did all the talking that time. The
Yeah.
next one is tell me a favorite childhood story that's very mass centric. You got one of those? Like a Massachusetts memory.
A mass-centric memory. Mass-centric memory. It's probably a lot of them. I probably should have done my homework before this. It's like 12:58. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get on it. Well, vineyard every summer. That's kind of mass centric, and me
Oh,
and my
you went
buddy
every
used to go
summer.
down there. Yeah, my buddies, same kid who grew up in Brookline. His family had a house out on Chappaquiddick, out where the famous Ted. Speaking of Kennedys, look how that came around there.
Yeah,
You
well
see how
done.
that did? Do you see that happened when Ted?
I heard there's a bridge there that's very slippery.
Yes, and if people fall off of it, you just go back and go to a bar and get a drink and don't tell anybody. You just
Didn't happen.
yeah, no, it didn't happen. But yeah, we used to we grew up there. going there every summer. That was pretty cool. I don't really have a point to that, except we acted like, oh, so he from Brookline. I grew up in Quincy, so one's more white collar, the other's more blue collar. We're really good close friends. So one summer, for whatever reason, we thought it would be cool to like steal hood ornaments. There's probably a statute of limitations on hood ornament theft, so I'm probably allowed to admit this now. But we used to go around some hood ornaments in Martha's Vineyard, and I hate to admit that was probably my influence. However, he was like the rich white kid and liked to steal stuff. I think that's just a thrill thing. I don't think it's about money. I think it was just like,
It's like Winona Ryder. It's like that Winona Ryder. Just like stealing stuff. Doesn't need to.
Doesn't just for the thrill of it. Get that excitement. Yeah. I'm glad I grew out of that phase, because that usually would like escalate to like grand theft auto or something like.
And then
yeah. Then I go to jail, so I kind of like grew out of that one. I figured it was, and I had too much of a conscience. Yeah.
So our last segment is we were going to compare and contrast, since we're West Coast massholes. Let's do general. We'll do real general this time. What do you prefer? Are you glad? Do you miss Massachusetts at all, or are you 100% West Coast enthusiast at this point?
I think it's probably a fair blend of that. I think there's aspects of Mass and New England in particular that I miss, like this coastline. I love the Northeast coastline. There's something it's majestic. It's almost sexually depressing. It's like not meaning your sex life's depressing, but like sensually depressing is probably the more accurate term. There's like a sensual depression that just like exists on that coastline. That was just me. That was just me. I don't know, and I'm just projecting that onto
No, I like it.
I love the coastline, and
I like it because it explains why I never got laid in Massachusetts.
Yeah,
not much left there.
There's a whole list, but also the autumn, like the autumn time, that 1 month period where it usually starts September, October, or even sometimes it starts October, it hits November. You just don't get better weather than that. That sweater weather.
Yeah.
The leaves are turning. That to me, if I could live in a perpetual autumn like that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I think that would be.
I agree. I wish they had,
But like, besides that, I think
I was just saying, I wish they had vacation times never align with the autumn in New England. So I never get back there. It's either the summertime or Christmas time, or maybe Thanksgiving, but I never get back for the autumn. I do miss that. Although I feel like they barely have it anymore because of global warming. It's all wonky.
I know. I would agree with that. I mean, it was snowing like May 5th this year.
Yeah.
Other than that, the basic weather stuff, I think, but I like the laid backness of the west side, the left side. I like the laid backness. I do like the up in your face, like honest and like gruffness of the New England people. And they might bullshit you to your face, but they actually are more, I think, probably more loyal and those more stand-up people when it comes down to hard times. Like if you ever in hard times, they'll show up and they'll help you out. Where here, be like, oh, anything you need, of course. Oh, thoughts and prayer, and then fuck off. You'll never see them until you got something to give them. But that's a generalization.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's kind of funny though.
What about you? We have time in our segment
we got 30 seconds. I guess I mean, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think so many people in LA, in Southern California in general, are transplants, so you can find those East Coast people
Yes.
kind of ethical quality
Yes.
here. So that's that's good. But I do see that. I mean, it's I think also showbiz because so much of our world is permeated
Hmm.
by that, and showbiz people can be very
Hmm.
there it is. George Takei telling us
Oh,
our
don't
thing.
say another word.
To finish my thought, yeah, I mean, I think it like so much of that is showbiz because showbiz people love getting excited about something you're going to do together, and then they never actually follow
Hmm.
through and do it. And I feel like back in
Hmm.
mass, even in school, like when we said, "Hey, let's do something," we generally did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree with that. So East Coast do, West Coast no do.
Nah,
That's
we don't
that's
feel like
that's
it.
the.
That's it. All right. Well, that's our West Coast asshole
uh,
this Monday. You got anything you want to say before we bail?
all right. Uh, no, not really. Not really. No.
That sounded so sad. Jesus Christ.
Well, I didn't want to get too serious. We can go out on
We're
a
gonna do
more
that.
lighter note.
All right. The West
Yeah,
Coast asshole signing off. That's what we do, right?
yeah. A cross. Always a cross.
This has been a Blursh production. Blur.